Definitely. Yeah, yeah. But like, what do you think like so far? What do you think is the biggest case that you've been a part of so far?
There have been so many. I think that there was, a lot of people heard about the Slender Man case
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Waukesha. That
yeah.
was a huge one over and had national, international attention. The mayor of Milwaukee years ago was attacked outside State Fair. That was sort of my first high
Wow.
profile case when I was a new lawyer.
Mm.
Um, Tom Barrett was the mayor of Milwaukee, and he had gotten like assaulted with a tire iron outside State Fair. It was brutal assault. And the public defender's office called me up. I was like 2 years out of law school. They
Mm.
called me up and asked if I would take this appointment, and I said yes.
Yeah.
I walked into a firestorm. I mean, I was like cameras in my face, media frenzy, being put on the news, and so, and I thought I did a good job under the circumstances. It was a hard case. I mean, but that was high profile. The Slender Man was high profile, and then it used to be things were high profile if they were on the news. Now what I've learned is like things become high profile within communities. Like you brought up the rapper thing before.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how many people started to reach out to me because they heard I had represented so and so, and they say, well, to us that to me to my group who follows Chicken P or Guapo or whoever some of the big ones, they say, hey, that's to me a very big
That's
case
a
if you're
big
handling that
case.
person's matter.
Definitely a big case. Yeah. With the Slenderman, like how long did that case actually last?
That case is technically still going on, so it
Okay.
lasted about I would say 4 years, 4 years or maybe 5 years for me to get the case worked out so that she could not be found guilty of the attempted homicide. So we were able to get her some mental health treatment and get her into a facility. That's not the end of the story, though. Once a person's getting mental health treatment, if they're found not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect, then they go into treatment, and then you got a petition to get them out. So that's technically still going on where we're trying to petition to get her out. Um, there, I sort of also have specialized in a lot of mental health related cases, largely stemming from that.
Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. Because when I seen it, I just was like, wow, like I didn't know how the case was going to go or end. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I was watching it on the news back then when it was going on,
A
like
lot of
it was
things,
fresh.
yeah, and that's I mean that's a good point. A lot of things look overwhelming right out of the gate, like oh they have all the evidence or the media paints it a certain way,
Yeah,
and you think oh they're going to fry this person.
yeah,
Every case I've ever started out, whether it was that one or any other case, when I first read the criminal complaint or what the prosecution says happened,
mm,
I think probably 100% of the cases I've thought to myself, this person's screwed. Like that's initially in that I don't want to say it should be how it is, but like if they're going to charge them with a crime, they better have at least some story that the public could say, well, that I understand why they charged this person.
yeah,
But that's like 1% of the story.
yeah,
Then you got to get into the reports, and that's where I think we've really set ourselves apart and tried to be exceptional is doing that deep dive through all the material to really find sometimes that one little angle, the missing video, the exculpatory DNA report. There's a lot of things you can look for that blow a case apart.
definitely.
And any screw up, to your question before of like why does someone need a lawyer?
Yeah,
You need a lawyer because let me give you a hypothetical.
okay.
Cops run into name a person's home. They run into a home. They find a kilo of cocaine in that house. They charge the person who's there with those drugs. Cops had a search warrant. A lawyer, so the person might be caught red-handed. They're in the home, the cocaine's there, the person's trying to flush it down the toilet when the cops run in. Like, just because you're caught red-handed doesn't mean you'll be convicted. That could be a defective search warrant. The affidavit could have inaccurate information. The investigation might be screwed up in some way. The person in the home might have a story of, they were trying to dispose of evidence, but they weren't the dealer. So just because it looks bad or seems bad, I want to encourage people that even if you feel like, hey, they got me, it looks really terrible. Maybe they did. I'm not saying everybody's going to walk on every case. I don't
Right,
walk everybody.
right.
But a skilled lawyer and a trained lawyer can look at that and say, well, here's the angle to maybe, even if we can't beat it, maybe we can get that DA down or that judge to give you a year or probation or, it's a difference between walking out of court and doing 8 years sometimes.
Definitely, definitely.
So you have to define wins in a broad context. Sometimes we win because we beat the case.
Yeah,
Sometimes you win because your client walks out of court not in prison.
you're right. Yeah, and that's what was my next question too, because in our community, taking a plea deal or making a statement like that's considered snitching. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, do you? I don't want to say encourage people to take a plea deal or make a statement, but like, do you see like, okay, sometimes this is the best result, and I feel like you should take a plea deal